Hey everyone, it's Michael, GoosebumpsFan. I hope you're doing well today. I have another Goosebumps episode review to follow up with Cry the Cat and with, what was the other one? Go Eat Worms. So I have the Season 1, Episode 7 episode called Phantom of the Auditorium. Of course, I watched it in this bootleg box that I accidentally bought back in the day. Of course, there was no special release for this particular episode. Phantom of the Auditorium, I guarantee you if you've seen the cover of this or you really recognize the title of the episode, it's probably sounding pretty familiar. I recently read this book. I think it was either before the new year or it was the first one I reviewed for January of this year. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's the last thing I read in 2021. I don't know. It was like 2 weeks ago and I totally forgot. Anyway, so, Phantom of the Auditorium is something playing more off of Phantom of the Opera than I realized. I read the book. The book was good. I enjoyed it for the most part. It wasn't like amazing like a lot of people seem to make it out to be, but it had its really good moments. I enjoyed it for the most part. By the way, I don't know if I pointed this out in the previous 4 or 5 videos today, but I'm wearing my Goosebumps shirt that I haven't worn in ages because I just keep forgetting to put it on for the videos. So now, here it is. Anyway, Season 1, Episode 7, and this came out on December 1st, 1995. So I was just barely a year old when this came out. This is a 22-minute long episode. It's not a two-parter, just a standalone episode. Feels more filler to me. It's modestly budgeted, in my opinion. It's got a decent set. I really like this whole theatrical play set. Looks really good. Works really great for the kind of atmosphere for this episode. It's a very atmospheric episode, too. It's not really scary, it's not really creepy, but it's got a nice little tension building to it. It's okay. If I was a kid, I think this would have scared me a lot more, especially because I would have had less exposure to Phantom of the Opera, but literally everything has done some kind of rip-off of Phantom of the Opera. My personal favorite type of story that's like this, that I talked about in my book review as well, and I've also done things like Goosebumps review video on this particular property, is Phantom of the Megaplex, the Disney original movie from back in the day, like the early 2000s. I love Phantom of the Megaplex. I think it's fantastic. It's the best version of this type of story ever done. Hands down, just no questions asked. It's my favorite. There will never be one like it. I don't know what it is about that atmosphere and that movie theater setup, but it's perfect. I love it. I love it. I think Phantom of the Megaplex is perfect. There's even an actress from that played Terry that's in this. She was younger here than she was in Megaplex, of course, because Megaplex was a few years after this. But Phantom of the Auditorium is pretty much a Phantom of the Opera ripoff, like I said. Now, the difference between the episode and the book, there aren't many. There's a play at a school. They're doing a play that they haven't ever really heard of, and apparently this play is called The Phantom, and it's based around a play that was done like in the 20s, or was going to be done, and a student died. At least that's what happened in the book. I wasn't paying attention for all the details here, but I don't think they had all of the lore and episode, or all the lore and the information about that play in this episode. A lot of that's I can't talk. A lot of it's missing from this episode. It's also very much in the book. There's so much adaptation, discussion about, their adaptation to a play from that old script written back in the 20s in the book. I really like all that information. I think it's pretty interesting stuff. And it is what it is. It's pretty much a Phantom of the Opera clone for children. The book is better, in my opinion. That added detail about the play itself called The Phantom, I really dug that. The episode's good. I think it's above average. It's not amazing. It's not bad by any means. Certainly not bad by any means. There's not really anything big happening here. There's no real hardcore, scary practical effects. There's like one CGI effect, and that's awful, but it makes sense because it's Goosebumps and it's a lower budget episode. But it's got to be bigger budget than some of the other smaller ones out there just because of the set with the theater play thing. It looks great. The theatrical setting for this is amazing. The casting of the kids is great. One of them is the new kid named Brian who came in, and he was in Donnie Darko, which I love Donnie Darko. That and It's a Wonderful Life are tied as my favorite film of all time. I've seen Donnie Darko God knows how many times. One of the best movies ever made. If you haven't seen Donnie Darko, you're missing out. So, he's in here. That was pretty cool. There's also a fellow in here who was Tucker in Dawn of the Dead, the remake from Zack Snyder that I love. He plays like the daytime janitor. I was excited to see him as well. There is a teacher in here, the teacher of the theater play itself, the theater class, whatever. who was in New Nightmare, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which I recently, in the last couple of videos for Goosebumps episode reviews that I recorded today, I made mention to New Nightmare, not knowing that she'd be in this. But again, we have all kinds of people in here. I'm kind of surprised to see so many names, and people, and faces and stuff that I knew. I didn't know the names. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know the names. But seeing like Terry from Phantom of the Megaplex in here was so odd to me. So odd. Yeah. But yeah, it was an interesting Phantom of the Opera type of thing. There's a phantom that haunts this play and is haunting the school and theater and stuff. There's also this trap door on the stage that leads to like an underground tunnel underneath the school. It's old. It's like made for the original play from the 20s that never got performed. I do think the final jab at the end of the book is totally ruined here with the execution. I think the execution sucks at the end of this. I know what they're trying to do. There's one particular part of it I don't want to talk about that they ruin the big surprise, the big shebang of the end of the book. The last, like, sentence of the original book that this is adapted from, that punch hits perfect. It really does, and I liked it a lot. But it seems like it's kind of falling flat here because of a choice they did in the script and in the episode that was a bad idea. Bad idea. Really ruined the execution of that final punchline from the original book. But overall, I'm not a huge fan of the book. Not a huge fan of the episode. It's all fine. It's about as fine as it gets. It's above average, which is a compliment. It's a compliment when it comes to Goosebumps, because I pretty much enjoy most things from Goosebumps. Very rarely do I physically hate something from Goosebumps. Most of the time, it's just really dislike, or I think it's not as good as it could have been. I'm a little disappointed. This is one of those things that's just fine. It's good. It's about as good as you could do. This is a total filler book, a total filler episode based on that book, and that's all it needed to be. Relatively modest budget. There's not really much to say about this. When it comes to Phantom of the Auditorium, if I had to rate this episode on a 5-star basis, the costumes and everything look good. The acting is good. I like all the kids that are in here. They're all fine. They're all nice for what they're doing. Their parts are cool. The kid from Donnie Darko, was cool to see him in here. I didn't really recognize him, but I saw that on the IMDb page. I thought that was kind of cool. Terry was cool. Yeah, everybody was fine. It was decent. Had a little bit of nice atmosphere to it at times. Really dug that. The theater thing really added a lot to this. If I had to rate it overall on a 5-star basis, I'd give it like a 3 out of 5 stars. I think it really works. It's above average to me, even though it's more of an average rating. I just can't see myself justifying a 4 out of 5 stars. I'm surprised this is sitting at like a 7.5 out of 10 on the rating scale on IMDb. That shocks the crap out of me. I don't know who's looking at this and saying it's close to an 8. That's wild. But even so, it was enjoyable. I liked it. I had a good time, especially compared to Go Eat Worms and kind of the weird mix-up that Cry the Cat is. But Cry the Cat was watchable. It's a good watch. I enjoyed it for the most part. But Go Eat Worms was a mess. Then watching this is pretty solid. I enjoyed it. So what are your thoughts on the book? What are your thoughts on the episode? Which one do you like more? I think I like the book better than this episode, but the episode's good too. I feel about the same in total for both of them. They're both fine, like I said. Phantom of the Megaplex, let me try that again, is the best adaptation of this type of thing. Not really an adaptation, but the best version of this Phantom of the Opera rip-off story. You know, I've never really experienced Phantom of the Opera, but still, I've seen some little tidbits here and there, like the old Lon Chaney Sr. film and the Claude Rains one and stuff. But there's some missed opportunities in this episode, in my opinion. 3 out of 5 stars. What do you guys think? Put them down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. Thank you for watching. God bless you. I'll have one more episode review up either today or tomorrow. Yeah. So I hope you'll stick around and check that out with me. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. God bless you. Goodbye.